Hey everyone, my name is Trevor Daly with MagMod. Hey, I am excited for another episode of How I Shot It. By the way, I love when you all join us and let us know where you're watching from. So again, like every single week and like every episode, please feel free to comment. Let us know where you're watching. It's always fun to hear, the different states in the United States and the different countries around the world, and know where you're all tuning in from. Also, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to post those questions in the comments. We're doing this live on the Facebook Live page. So if you're watching this on YouTube, afterwards, be sure to go to the MagMod Facebook page and you can subscribe so you can see when these episodes go live in the future and be able to ask questions. If you are watching this on YouTube, feel free to ask questions in the comments and we'll be sure to try to get to those when we see those as well. So guys, I am excited because today I get to talk to the Hannibal. Hannah, thanks so much for joining me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited, Trevor. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Hannah, I have been absolutely amazed. In fact, I think one of your photos, this goes back to, we had an episode recently where we talked about one of the most liked photos, but I think you're up
Yeah.
there as well. I think you have one of the most liked photos, if not the most liked photo on Instagram. And we're going to actually talk about that first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we're doing that one first. So I'm excited to share about
Yeah,
it.
that'll be fun. But before we go there, Hannah, can you share with everyone where to find you on Instagram, where you're based out of, all that good information?
Yes, so I'm a wedding and portrait photographer based out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area, United States. And if you want to find me online, it's at Southern Belle Pics. Belle is
Let's
Belle,
see.
Pics X. Yep,
There we
there's
go.
me. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and my website is www.southernbellepics.com.
Yeah,
Same
there.
thing.
Your website is absolutely stunning. I love it. Right from the get go,
Yeah.
you can already see all these different shots where you used flash and color and MagMod and all kinds of good stuff. Hannah, when you were talking about your Instagram, I didn't have it up here, so I want to make sure everyone can see it. Southern Belle Pix. Southern Belle Pics. Is that right? Cool.
Yep, you got it.
Excellent. So everybody go give her a follow. In fact, Hannah, MagMod only follows like 107 photographers or something, and you deserve a follow. So I'm going to give you a follow right now from the
Oh,
MagMod account.
Trevor, that blesses my heart. Thank you.
No, well, it's fun. We have featured many of your images, and like I said, in fact, one that we're going to talk about right away here. So truly, it's certainly well deserved. You're an incredible photographer, and I love the way you're using MagMod in your work. So thank you. Hannah, before we jump into the images really quickly, I want to just mention a few people that are watching. You got, yeah, you got Daryl. He's like, what does he say? North Carolina represent? Absolutely.
Both North Carolina photographers. We've shot together. He's an awesome photographer. I love
he
Daryl.
he is awesome. Aniket, he's one of our favorites. He's watching as well. So we appreciate him being in here. We got Kevin Shoemaker, Kevin and Patty. They're amazing. We actually have them scheduled for a show later in April. I have to pull up my calendar to see exactly when, but we're excited to have them watching as well. And I see others of you guys tuning in, so definitely let me know if you are watching and where you're watching from. We got Chris watching from Tucson again, and I saw Gabrielle and Nancy saying, we're ready to learn. So let's use that
Let's
cue. Let's jump right in.
exactly.
Excellent. Well, Hannah, I am going to bring up this first image, and I'm going to let you tell us all about it.
Okay, well, this shot I did for some bridal portraits, and I had initially toured the venue beforehand. It was a gorgeous hotel venue, and they had lots of really cool spots. But I saw this spot, and it was kind of between the bar and like they had like a restaurant lounge area, and had these dividers, and the dividers weren't colorful in this like I have in this picture, but I could tell that they were had this like white kind of translucent fabric. And when I was going through, I thought, you know what? If I got some MagMod gels and put them on the other side of this, I could light those up and make a really cool, fun portrait. And so I kind of locked that away in my brain. And so when we finally did the bridal portraits, I had already set up my lights and everything for this shot and had her just step in. And basically, what I've got is three lights. There's one speed light on both sides behind that divider. Each one has a MagSphere and a Mag gel in it. So obviously the one on the left has the blue gel, and the one on the right has the kind of the
Mm-hmm.
pinkish magenta gel. And then I had the MagBox set up, kind of camera right behind the pink divider there pointed toward our bride. Oh, there you go. You got the whole setup there behind the scenes. So I've got that pointed toward her. And to illuminate her, and kind of in post, I isolated her a little bit more. I thought about using grids to kind of isolate her, but it didn't quite work at the moment, and we were in a rush. So I just said, we're going to do the MagBox. It's got the soft, beautiful light, and the MagSpheres with the speed lights illuminating those kind of dividers. And it turned out really pretty and awesome. I loved it.
I love it as well. So Hannah, what you're saying is this, in fact, I'm going to put this picture away for a second so we can see the whole image. So you're saying that here you, the isolation part, you're just saying that kind of darken the area behind her. Is that right?
Yes,
Just
because
a
I
little bit
wanted
down.
that area to be a little bit darker. And so I just kind of did a little bit of dodge and burn to make that a little bit more what I was looking for.
Yeah, I love it though. I really enjoy even, and this is such a small thing in photography, or I should say in this photo in general, but I love how her head is exactly right in the middle there with that clean space, that little white area, and how
Mm-hmm.
it makes her hair pop. Because I just feel like if it were really dark, her hair would just blend right in and you'd have to have some kind of rim light or something. So I really think, I just see this like, these columns, these colorful columns, and then this white column and the blue column, and it just all works so well together. I just absolutely love it.
Well, thank you. Obviously, I like symmetry, so it worked very well to get it right in the center, and I feel like it makes it a lot more powerful.
And
Brings the attention right.
oh, go ahead, Hannah. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I feel like it brings the attention right to her, which is kind of the whole point of the portrait, is to bring attention to the
Yeah,
bride.
absolutely. I also, it's funny when I see these dividers, these room dividers. You see these all the time. I mean, you see these types of
Mm-hmm.
dividers, and in fact, later on, we're going to show a photo where you actually took dividers that didn't even have this kind of opaque part to it, and you actually created something really cool as well. But this is truly inspiring, so that the next time we see something like this, we go, "Oh yeah, we got to create a shot like Hannah," where she used the color and stuff. So, yeah, I love it. Such a cool shot. Great job.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's one thing I really like about the gels is you can create something that no one else sees. You can kind of find fun ways to add color and everything to a scene, and no one else sees it
Yeah.
there. And like when I was taking this picture, obviously everyone just sees my light stands and they're just like, "What is crazy Hannah doing?" And then I show them back and they're like, "What? What? You
Yeah.
just did that?" And then you've got clients for life. So
Exactly. Exactly. It's so true. It's so important to just if you can just stop for a second and show the back of your camera after you create something cool like that. It's amazing how you become the magician. You become the expert. And now all of a sudden
yeah.
everybody wants to refer you before they've even seen their whole set of images after that one image on the back of your camera. So
Yep. You didn't even have to do much Photoshop, so that's
there
plus
you
for me.
go.
I don't want to editing.
That's right. That's right. You're getting comments coming in. You got Jorge saying, "Excelente, muy creativo, felicidades, very nice job, I love it."
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jorge.
and there was Ellie was saying, "Clever idea." Gabrielle was saying, "Amazing." Mandy saying, "Yay, love your work."
Oh, thank
So,
you.
and then we got a few more people. Before going to this next image, real quick, we got Anid was saying hi from Maine. So we appreciate you tuning in from Maine. It's awesome. And then we got Derek also. In fact, he's scheduled later on in April as well for How I Shot It. We got
Cool.
neighbor from Tennessee. So
Hey, Dan.
again, appreciate you guys tuning in, and like I say, feel free to let us know where you're watching from, and then of course if you have any questions as we go through this, feel free to ask those questions. So with that, Hannah, can we go on to image number 2?
Yep, let's do it.
Excellent.
Now, this was a shot that I kind of had something different in mind when I went into it, and I kind of had to change things up and shift my focus because it didn't work out. Because these groomsmen obviously had these cool cigars, but we didn't have time to move to an area that was dark enough to backlight it and get all the smoke, which was a shot that I kind of had in my mind that I wanted because I'd seen a lot of other good photographers on MagMod, who they had a gel from behind and it kind of lit up the smoke in a really pretty cool color, and it just made it really look kind of fun and like almost magical kind of. But
Yeah.
I couldn't get into a space for that. You can see there's two huge windows right there, and I tried to do a couple of shots that were backlit with color, and it didn't turn out quite right. So I kind of shifted my focus a little bit, and I was like, well, you know what? With these two windows, I could kind of silhouette these groomsmen, kind of pull my exposure down so that they're silhouetted. And then if I can bring in a light from one side and just light up the groom, that would be a really cool shot. And I just got the MagSnoot, and so I had an assistant do that with the light that they had on a stand to the right and kind of pulled it out part way. The MagSnoot, you can kind of pull it out further and it'll focus a lot more. And focusing it all the way was a little bit too much. So we just kind of did it part way just to focus on the groom so there wasn't light spill on the groomsmen behind him, so that
Yeah.
just he was lit. And it kind of gets this fun, cool shot. I still had the lights on behind that I originally used for the smoke, but you can't really tell too much. There's a little bit of a hair light with one of them, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I just left it in black and white. I felt like I made it a whole lot more powerful.
It is powerful. It's a beautiful, beautiful shot. And I love, it's funny. Ellie was just mentioning, well, I should say in the last shot, you had talked about how you love symmetry. And Ellie was saying there's excellent symmetry here as well, which is so true. You have these windows, just this perfect symmetry right there. The lights behind them, the whole works. Super,
Thank you. I
super cool.
appreciate it. Gotta look for those good spots and then figure something out right in there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you said you used the MagSnoot on this one then?
Yes, I did. So the MagSnoot was like on a Godox 8200 to the right
Hmm.
that my assistant was holding on a stand and just kind of holding it there on the light stand as steady as she could, and me having her tweak it just a little bit to get the light just right on him. And it worked really good so that it just got on him. You don't see light on the groomsmen behind him or
Yeah.
anything. I think I had tried using a MagGrid first and it wasn't focused enough. So we switched to the MagSnoot and it worked great. So it's a really
Nice.
good use for that. I know some people have the MagSnoot and they're like, I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, do this.
Yeah, no, I love it. And you know what's awesome too, Hannah, is I love how on that shot right there, how you have this beautiful symmetry. In fact, let's just go back, or I'm sorry, not symmetry, Rembrandt light. You have this beautiful Rembrandt light,
Mhm.
right? I wish I could draw on the picture, but you have that beautiful triangle of light right underneath his eye there. Camera
Mhm.
left, his right eye, which is just so perfect. It's that, and in fact, I'm almost wondering when you did that, did you have to kind of coach him or your assistant to move that light just perfectly so you get that little Rembrandt light? Or
Yeah, lots of coaching with mostly I had the groom just stay still because I didn't want to once I got him in the center, I'm like, okay, you just stay there.
yeah,
So I did a lot of telling my assistant, okay, just a little bit to the right, a little bit of left, a little bit up. So there was like a lot of test shots before that one that weren't
gotcha.
my favorite until I got to that one. But as long as you get the one, that's all you need.
That's it. That's it. And Alston had a question, which I'll get to in just a second. But before we do that, Ellie was just wondering the snoot. You said it was expanded about halfway. Is that right? You didn't have it fully collapsed. You didn't have it fully expanded about halfway.
Yep, about halfway.
So typically, guys, when you have a snoot about halfway, you're looking at about when it's fully collapsed, it's about a 20% grid, and then each level is about 10% less. So 20, 30, 20, 10. Wait, 20, 30. No, 40, 30, 20, 10.
You
So
did
that was probably,
that.
yeah, that was probably like a 30, 20% grid somewhere on there. All right. So Hannah, I wanted to bring this question up from Austin because, you've been doing this for, what did you say, full time, like 3, 4 years? Is that right?
Full time 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Started about ago, but as a hobby.
How long have you been doing photography with the flashes and using MagMod modifiers and stuff like that?
About a year and a half, right around there, I think is when I started investing in flash stuff just because I saw the need. I was doing more and more weddings and just realizing I can't get away with shooting dark venues without
Hmm.
flash. I really need this. Plus, I saw so many people being creative, like in the
Yeah,
MagMod community, and I want to be able to do that. I want to be able
I
to make it
love it.
that awesome picture that I have in my head and it won't come out because I'm using natural light. So it's another tool in the toolbox, and I've just been trying to master that over the last year and a half, 2 years or so.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a great lead in then because Alston has a question. He says, been thinking about purchasing the MagMod kit. I'm a first timer. So my question then to you, Hannah, being that, you kind of got into this about a year and a half ago, um, what would you suggest to somebody if they're a first time user of MagMod or, they're trying to understand how to use these modifiers a little bit better with Flash? Is there any advice or place that you would tell them to go learn and be inspired, or I don't know, open book, I guess.
I think a good spot to start is the starter kit. I feel like the starter kit has, what is it, the grid and the sphere and the
Mm-hmm.
grip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what I got first, and we just played with that a lot. kind of master the
Yeah.
first few tools before moving on. And a lot of it was just like going in the MagMod community and looking at everybody's pictures and looking at their diagrams and going, okay, what did they use? Where did they
Yeah.
put it? And then you going out and trying it. Because a lot of it's just you incorporating it in your shoots. Because you can look at pictures all day long and look at lighting diagrams all day long, but if you never
Yeah.
actually use it, it's not going to do you any good. But if you look at other people and get some inspiration, and then you can get out and try it yourself, even just get some friends together and say, can I shoot you in the face for an hour or two with my camera?
Yeah.
And it that way. You got to start somewhere, and you got to start incorporating it
Yeah.
and doing it a good way to start and just kind of learn from there. I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm sure if you guys are watching, you probably are already familiar with this, but the MagMod community is an amazing place. What do we got? Almost 80,000 people in this community. And we've brought this up before, but what's so cool about it is when people post photos, one of the rules is the caption, or in the caption, you're supposed to say how you created it. So, one gridded flash, etc. So it's really cool because you go in here and you can look at a photo and go, oh, I really like that photo. How did they create it? And you don't even have to ask the photographer. It should be right there. In fact, if you don't include in your caption how you created it, we don't let the post go. So it's kind of a fun educational place. And that's really what we want it to be, is a place where photographers using MagMod can feel like they can go in there and actually learn from one another and help one another. So definitely, if you're watching this on the MagMod page and you're not a member of the MagMod community, come join us. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to join as well. So awesome stuff. Hannah, let me just make sure I didn't miss any comments real quick. Yes, I agree. Ellie says incredible community. I absolutely agree, Ellie. Hannah, should we jump on to the next shot?
Let's do it.
You know what I love too is, Hannah, you got lots of cool BTS as well. And I believe this next one actually has one of those. So let's bring up this photograph right here. Tell us about this one, Hannah.
This one was really fun, but it was also really simple. For this one, I just have a MagBox. That's the only light I used. I have an assistant holding the MagBox. It has two Godox 8200s inside of it. Camera left, pointed toward the couple, kind of feathered just a little bit. That way you can kind of see that like there's a little bit of shading like on their shoulders and stuff, where part of it's light, part of it's darker. So it's aimed a little bit more toward him than her, if that makes sense. Just to kind of get that light just going across them like that. And that's it. Just one light. And it makes a big difference.
I think we have a BTS here. So the position that you show it right now, is that kind of where it was during this shot?
Yeah, that was basically seconds after I took the shot. I took that still from our videographer's video, and I'm like, hey, you can see the back, tell right where it is, right where I'm at. So that's where it was. And actually it's kind of cool because this was like an hour and a half before sunset. So it was closer to daylight, like in the behind the scenes picture where it was kind of bright. It was closer to that. I just pulled my settings down to kind of underexpose, and then had the light to kind of do most of the work to illuminate them. So I think I was at like ISO 200, pretty low, and just trying to get it as dark as I could with still seeing that water behind them, and get that little touch of light on them for that kind of dramatic fun flare.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you did the short light too, where you got that light going kind of the brighter side over here, and you're shooting on that shadow side of the face. You got that nice Rembrandt on his light. I noticed it looks like this is the same couple on your Instagram as well, and even the same place. Did you use two lights here, or was this just natural, or one light, or how'd you do this one? I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Oh, no, you're good. That was from the same shoot. That was probably like 10 minutes before. We kind of shot in the same spot for a little bit. But that was the MagBox as well, except the MagBox was camera right, kind of doing more of her face. When I can, I'd rather have the bride looking toward the light. For that short lighting, it's a little bit more flattering. I've heard it say never broad light abroad. So I try not to do that. Try to always short light women if I can. So I her looking toward the MagBox, and he's just kind of looking away. So he's still got some light spill onto him, but you can tell his face isn't as illuminated as hers is.
Gotcha. Love it. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, again, sorry if I'll just occasionally bring up a random photograph and
No, you're fine.
be like, I want you to talk about this one. I gotta say, Hannah, on this shot, so it's funny when you showed me this shot, we were kind of just pre-chatting, and I immediately, and I've seen, I think it was Sean Laura had a photo kind of like this, and I'm trying to think of who else is. But these are the shots where you show up at the venue with your eyes, and you're like, oh, what a beautiful backdrop. This is stunning. And you pull out your cell phone, you take a picture, and it's just completely white behind them. Anyone that has a camera, they take out their camera and they're like, well, I got a fancy DSLR, so I got this. And then they take a picture, and Uncle Bob or whoever, Aunt Susie, all their photos are super bright, or they're really dark on the couple. So this is one of those shots where it's deceivingly hard to do, and that's why I'm so glad you picked this one to share with us. So how did you do this one?
Yeah, so this one is a challenge, like you said, because obviously it's super bright behind them and there's no light coming from inside this little chapel where they're at. So if you don't have flash, it's just kind of like they're a silhouette if you're going to expose for the mountains, like you said, or you're going to expose for them and the mountains are just kind of gone. And the whole reason they picked this venue, it's called Pretty Place Chapel. It's in South Carolina at Camp Greenville. And it's a gorgeous place, but the whole reason they picked it was because they wanted that view of the mountains. And so I kind of knew that at the time of day they were doing it and everything, that wasn't going to happen unless I used some flash. So I have two flashes here. I have one 8200 on the right side and one on the left side. You can kind of see that there's like some columns there of like rock. And so the lights are kind of hidden behind there, just out of the shot so you can't see them. But I have like the one that's on the left is kind of pointed in toward him to get his face. The one on the right is kind of pointed in toward her face. And they both have MagSpheres and MagGrids on there. So the MagGrids are kind of focusing that light just onto them, and the MagSpheres are helping to soften it a little bit. And so I can't remember what power I had it on, but I had it on fairly high power because it was just such a bright day. Yeah. But it worked perfect so that you can see them, and yet the background is exposed to get the lovely mountains.
I love it. So those flashes, I'm trying to visualize with those columns. Were they in like behind the column? In other words, I guess those columns are like the first or second row. Is that right?
Yeah, it's basically like the first or second row. I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm trying to look.
So were the flashes
between first and second row? I think.
Yeah. Okay. So were the flashes kind of like maybe like on the third row, sort of, or were they in front of the columns, like on the first row?
They're almost in line with the columns. I kind of have almost my tripod around the column, if that makes sense.
Okay. Gotcha.
So they're super close to it. It was also kind of a windy day, so I kind of needed to do that anyway, or they might have fallen over.
Yeah.
So I kind of like put against the one side of the column the best I could on both sides, and that's where they're at.
Love it.
Thank you. Just saw your comment.
So I actually, it's one of those definitely hard to shoot things, but it's so funny because when people pick these settings, they want that shot. Like that's why they choose the professional to do it. So you got to know how to do that. Hey, Gonzalo from Argentina, he asked this question. Hi, I'm from Argentina. At what time do you recommend doing sessions outdoors to have well contrasted photos? And then he says at noon. I don't know if I would do it at noon, Gonzalo, but what would you say, Hannah? When do you normally try to schedule your sessions?
I mean, I usually try to stay till golden hour. I mean, even though I have flash, just because that's a lot better light, it kind of, I almost want to see a sample picture of what you mean by high contrast, because I'm not sure what your idea of high contrast is. Because like some of those ones, like you could say that one of those black and white with the groomsmen was high contrast, but that was indoors. I'm reluctant to shoot during noon, even with flash, just because you have to use a lot of flash power to kind of overcome that.
Yeah.
I still try to do closer to golden hour if I can, but that's just me. If he wants to try to message me a photo that he has an example, that might help, just so I know what he means.
That's awesome. I appreciate you doing that. And Gonzalo, definitely take Hannah up on that. Hit her up on Southern Belle Pic, PIX, and see if you can maybe show her an example of what you're talking about. I love, there's an app that I use called Sol, SOL. And I can't remember. I think maybe it was $10 or something like that. But I love it because it simplifies and it allows me to show my clients when I like to shoot. And so what I'll do is I'll bring up the date and the location, and then it will show me, hey, look, sunset's at 6:57, and then I usually show them that gold area and that red area are my favorite times to shoot. So I want to shoot after sunset until 7:22 and before until 6 o'clock. So usually my session now will be scheduled from 6 to 7:30. And it's fun because I'll even show them like screenshots, or when I'm video chatting with them, I'll show it to them and they're like, wow, that's so easy. But that's when I like to do it. But I'm with you there, Hannah. I'm not really sure exactly what he means by the contrast part, but that's when I love to shoot the most. So good stuff. Hannah, I think you got the first wow emoticon in our conversation. I didn't even know that we were allowed to do wow emoticons on live chats, but I just saw one. So thanks for whoever threw the wow out there. I love it. Awesome. Good stuff. Hannah, let's jump into the next photograph here. Another amazing shot. Tell us about this one.
Well, this one, I loved the setting. They had this really cool kind of silver metallic runner going up to the ceremony site. And I'd seen a lot of other people do some cool reflection shots. And I'm like, well, this is the perfect spot to do a reflection shot. The ceremony site was really pretty, but it was also very minimalistic and just kind of like a white drapery in the back, that kind of thing. And so we did some of the safe shots, of just them up there. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to do something a little bit special, a little bit different. And so for this one, I just have the groom holding one light. It's like an 8200 and has a MagSphere and a purple or magenta mag gel on it. I think it's the purple one. Yeah, you can see it right there. So he's just holding it. That way I didn't have to like Photoshop out a light stand or anything. So he's just holding that, pointing that toward the drapery wall behind them. And so I pulled down the exposure to kind of make it a little bit darker, and then pulled up that flash to make the nice silhouette. There's me on the ground in the trenches.
You know what I love though, Hannah, is now that you're saying this, when I first saw this shot, I was like, oh, okay, we get to see Hannah on the ground, actually sacrificing to get that shot. But now I also see that foil metallic runner that you were talking about and why you kind of got down. And it kind of helps me understand better this shot and how cool that color is bouncing off the floor and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you're up too high, you don't get the same reflection. And so I knew I would have to get down low to get the reflection that I wanted, to have it be even and feel natural and everything, to actually be like a true reflection. And so yeah, I got down low to get that shot, and that's basically it. Trying to think. I mean, it was an easy one light thing. It wasn't too hard. But I'd also seen a lot of other people do something similar, like in the MagMod community. Kind of inspired me that, I mean, you don't have to have a lot, just one light. I think I even put the gel in the MagSphere. I don't know if people realize you can do that, but they have like the little, kind of like a little lip inside that you can put the mag gels inside the MagSphere. So I just slid that in there and had them hold that and did a few snaps, and they loved it.
Hannah, one thing I love about this too is that by getting down super low, you really filled the frame in when that foil runner, because if you would have been up higher, then it would have just kind of filled like, the bottom, just maybe 20-30% of your frame, but you really filled it in with all that color. And by the way, I love that you mentioned the MagSphere having the gel insert, because I think this is one of the most underutilized things that people don't even realize they have it. So guys, as you mentioned that, Hannah, I just quickly reached in my bag. I grabbed a MagSphere, and we are going to demo this really fast. If you haven't seen it yet, guys, right here, there's a ridge on the inside of the MagSphere. And these little gels, they can go right inside there. And oftentimes what I'll do is I'll just kind of squeeze it down. But they fit right inside the MagSphere so that you can actually, you don't even need a mag gel holder or anything. And you can stack 2 or 3 inside there. I will admit it probably takes me a few seconds longer than doing it in a gel holder, but oh man, it's so nice when you have it inside the MagSphere already, and you don't have to worry about putting anything else on there. So
yeah, it saved me a lot of time and energy trying to fiddle with extra things and just be like, okay, I'm going to slip this in here. Less things to carry.
Yeah. So be sure, if you guys aren't doing that, be sure to do that. Start using that. Good stuff. Hannah, let's go on to this next. What did Ellie said something here? What did she say? The real deal. You do cartwheels too?
I wish, Ellie. I mean, I've done some things close to it. I think there's another behind the scenes coming up of me standing on like chairs and stuff, but I try to avoid the cartwheels. Usually the cameras knock into each other, and that doesn't go well. So
Yeah, I don't know
try
if
to
I
avoid.
do cartwheels. so so Hannah, this shot is super cool too. And when I saw it, I thought it was glow sticks, and I know I mentioned that to you, and you told me what it was. But I think this concept, it would actually work really well with glow sticks as well. So one, I'm interested how you shot it, and two, I'm interested in like what kind of shutter speed and stuff you used. So yeah, tell us about this one.
Yeah, so this is their kind of exit. They were kind of a fun, nerdy couple. They had really embraced, Marvel and Star Wars and stuff in their wedding. And so these are actually lightsabers. They had toy lightsabers that they passed out to all the guests and kind of had them, do in the row like you do for sparklers or whatever, but instead they had them wave these glow lightsabers, which was really fun. And so I feel like, okay, I can't just do a shot of them just having the lightsabers still. I need to do some shutter drag to make it really fun and kind of like a light painting kind of thing. So I did
Yeah.
drag the shutter for this one. It's at 1/6 of a second, but I
Hmm.
froze them with a flash. So kind of on my right on a stand, I had I think it was an 8200 with a MagSphere, a MagGrid, and I think I have like a quarter CTO gel in it just to warm it up just a little bit. And so that grid kind of just focused it on them. That way the guests weren't all lit up. And again, the sphere just kind of softens it. And so I had that light on them. I actually have another light behind them because I usually, with the getaway, the exit, I have another light behind them to kind of illuminate, like if there's any smoke during the sparklers or anything like that. You can't tell really because of everything shaking. The little bit of
Yeah.
light that is behind them, he's kind of got covered up, but there is a flashback there with a MagSphere and a purple mag gel as well.
I love it. I love it. So Hannah, the secret here was getting that camera drag, and you said you did it at 1/6 of a second for shutter.
Mhm. I
And
did.
then
And I just did front curtain sync. I didn't do rear curtain sync. So I just
okay.
did front curtain, take the picture, and then move it. That way I could frame exactly the way I want it. And as soon as I click it, then move it. That works for
Awesome.
me. I know some people really like doing rear curtain sync where the picture actually fires at the end or the flash fires at the end instead of the beginning. But I liked it this way and it worked for me.
It looks
It took
beautiful.
several, yeah, I kind of had them freeze that kiss for a second because it took several kind of twists to get the one that I wanted.
Yeah.
But it turned out good. I like it.
You know, Hannah, one thing I always tell people, the best time to practice those types of shots is during the dancing. And for every wedding I
Mhm.
do, I stick around till the very, very end of the wedding. One, so I can get a signature cool shot, like an exit shot like that, or like a big circle dance or whatever it is. But two, because I love using those hours during the dancing when everyone's going crazy to just practice things like shutter drags and play with my light a little bit. So definitely encourage you guys, if you have packages where you're leaving right after cake cutting, maybe consider sticking around for a few more hours. Use it as kind of a sales thing, like, hey, I'll give you, you know what, I'll stick around to the very end if you guys book me by Friday, or whatever. But that way you can get that signature shot and you can also practice your own lighting, use it for your own benefit. So good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Hannah, let's see, we got okay, so we got I think there's two more images, and both of them are amazing, and both of them have BTS, so I can't wait to share them. Tell us about this one.
Yay. Yeah, so this one I had already gone through a bunch of shots with the bride and groom. They had a great ballroom set up and everything, but I want to do something a little bit different because I'd already incorporated, all their tables and they had green uplighting and everything. And so I want to do something different. So this is a two light setup. I have a flash, a speed light behind the groom set up with I think a mag sphere and a green mag gel just pointed straight toward the wall. And then for her, I have a flash pointed at her, and that one I have, looking, try to remember exactly what I had. I had a MagSphere and MagGrid. I can't remember if I had one MagGrid or if it was two at the time to kind of narrow it a little bit more, aimed toward her just to illuminate her. So again, I kind of pulled the exposure down. That way it kind of darkened out everything else because that wall wasn't super exciting and I wanted to bring the focus just to them. So with the one light, the green one, it made a silhouette for him. And
Mm-hmm.
then for her, it just kind of gave her this glorious little dramatic portrait.
This could have been a beautiful shot, even just of her. Let me go back to it real quick, of
Mhm.
just her by herself there. Like the lighting on her is so pretty. And then adding in him in there, it kind of adds out that what I call punctum. It's kind of that little
Mhm.
extra oomph that makes it even more special. There's a
Yeah.
behind the scenes as well, so everybody can kind of see. It looks like, did they have green uplights in the wedding? Like, was that part of their wedding color?
Yeah, it was. They kind of had like this Emerald City, like Wizard of Oz kind of thing going on.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so they already had the green uplighting, so I was just kind of adding a little bit extra. So I had to pull the exposure down more so you couldn't see their uplighting quite so much
Yeah.
because I didn't really want that distracting. I wanted it to be this kind of simplistic focus on just them, where it was kind of like this modern dramatic feel where you just kind of get pulled into just her and him
Yeah.
and you know their vows that they're making.
That's super cool. You mentioned the Emerald City in Wizard of Oz. What was the name of the guy that was kind of like running things behind the scenes? And um,
Um, the Wizard of Oz.
is it the? Am I that dumb? Is it literally the Wizard of Oz?
I
I
think
think you're
so.
right. I thought there'd be some special name for the guy that but running the scene behind the scenes. Anyhow, I when I see that, that's what I think of. I think of this
Other name,
guy.
I don't know.
I think you're right though. Oh man, but I feel like he's kind of the Wizard of Oz back there, and she's the Dorothy,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, thank you.
Okay, now that I've embarrassed myself,
It's all good. It's all good.
hey, we got a few laughs out of it.
Yeah.
Francia saying hi. What a cool name, Francia. I like that.
That's
Um, all right, so Hannah, let's go on to this very last image. And this
okay.
is another one of those super cool where I just love it. Whoops, one more. This is one of those images where you look at it and you go, what the heck? Like, how, what did she do there? Is that Photoshop? What is it? And then when you see the behind the scenes, it's like, oh my goodness, how creative and how easy, but amazing. So tell us
Yeah,
about this one.
yeah. So this is a two light setup. Again, this was actually the same venue as that first photo where they had the dividers. They had like these kind of metal, kind of beam dividers. I'm not really sure how to just do it. It's like almost like a metal lattice that they had dividing some different things, and you could see through it. It had these big holes, but I looked through it. I'm like, I want to kind of make this kind of a foreground element and do something cool with it. And so I was like, well, what if I use a mag gel and kind of shoot it up at an angle at this kind of lattice work? And so it'll illuminate part of it. So it'll be kind of a little bit more interesting than just the metal. And then I can
Mhm.
kind of spotlight the groom a little bit. So for this one, I have an assistant to the left, kind of holding up high a flash. It's got a MagSphere on it, and I think it might have a MagGrid. I can't quite remember at the moment. And so she's pointing that just to his face, just to illuminate him. And you can kind of see here, there's me up on the couch
I love
shooting
it.
through that kind of lattice work. And you can see on my right that there's a videographer and there's kind of a light stand behind him. That light stand has a flash with a mag sphere and a purple mag gel pointed toward that lattice work, kind of at an angle from below a little bit. That way it kind of illuminated that under part of the lattice work. And so kind of pulled down the exposure, added that purple to kind of give that fun kind of foreground element, and then did the flash into him just to expose him. So it's just into him doing that focus and making it a little bit different, a little bit fun.
I love this, Hannah. It's so interesting because when you look at this, first off, was this in his room, like getting ready room, or was this the hotel lobby?
This was like part of the hotel lounge kind of room.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it kind of looks like that. It looks like more like a, I don't know. And when I see this, I think, gosh, you see those types of things everywhere. Kind of that artwork, kind of the dividing. But I never really have thought to use it in that way. So truly inspiring and awesome. I can't wait to. It makes me want to go out and find something like this out there so I can actually create something cool like you did. So
Yeah,
fun.
well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of those kind of spots around, and from looking at people in the MagMod community and other areas, I've kind of started looking when I go scouting and be like, okay, what's something different I could do here? Could I shoot through this mirror, shoot this mirror and, illuminate that, or shoot through something like I did here, something to make it different, because that's one thing that I really like about doing off camera flash and using MagMod and things like the gels is you can do something that other people don't see and do something more creative than just
Yeah.
click. And that's what everybody gets. Everybody will get that one shot that they see. But if you do something different that they haven't seen, it's more memorable and kind of stands out.
Hannah, I feel like if you were in the Phoenix market and we were competing against each other, that one sentence right there to a bride and groom would win you over every time. I would be losing all kinds of business to you. No, but truly, like what you said there is a great marketing point. It's kind of like saying, being able to tell clients like, oh yeah, you know, there's a lot of photographers can go there and shoot photos, but
Yeah.
I love to do something different and create something different. And I actually think if I had those BTS photos and those resulting photos, it would be fun to show clients. Like, this is what it looked like, how the scene was, and this is what we created with it, just kind of for fun. So super
Yeah.
cool
I
stuff.
like to share my Instagram stories and stuff every once in a while and just be like, this is what you see, is usually what I say. Like, this is what you see. And it just, it
Yeah.
looks kind of plain to you. I look crazy. I'm climbing on a couch, and then when you show the after, they're like, dang,
Dang,
I
girl.
like that.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Diego actually says something as well. He says, Miss Hannah, a lot of your photos look surreal and magical. You make the viewer look closer every time. Diego from Belize.
Oh, thank
Appreciate
you,
that,
Diego. I
Diego.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
that
really
was really
do.
nice. I love Belize. We'll have to. I want to get back down there. It's a beautiful place. Well, Hannah, this has been fun. I think we covered all the photos, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back. I know you have tons more on your Instagram account. So let's. In fact, I'm going to bring that up one more time here before we close this out. Guys, if you have yet to go follow her, be sure to go give her a follow. Southern Belle Pix. Southern Belle Pix. Again, so many beautiful shots. I love your work, Hannah. Truly incredible.
A lot of those I do have on there how I shot them. If I don't, you could always comment and ask me. I don't mind telling you as long as I can remember.
Look at that. There's kind of one of fully lit of that same shot, huh?
Yeah, that was one of those ones that I shot first trying to get the smoke. That was probably the best one of the smoke, but they weren't smoking enough. It was too bright, and I didn't like it enough to do too many more like that one. That one I thought turned out good enough, but then the other one I thought was the killer shot, the one that
It
we shared
was.
earlier.
It certainly was killer. I love it. Hannah, I also got to say, I love how you, every, 10, 15 photos, you toss a photo of yourself in there on work or whatever. It kind of breaks up the whole like, hey, here's all my beautiful shots, but here's me as well. So you guys can kind of get to know me and who I am. Look at that. There's another one. Do you do that kind of purposefully? Do you try to do like every 10 or 15 photos, get one of yourself in there?
I do. I don't necessarily like count how many, but I try to do it so that at least when you're looking at one full screen,
Uh-huh.
there's at least to kind of introduce myself a little bit, do like a follow Friday kind of thing, and be like, "Yep, this is me. I'm who's going to be taking your pictures. This is who
Yeah.
you're hiring." So,
I think it's great.
yep.
I love it. Well, awesome. Well, there's and here I'll close with this last little comment from Ellie. She says, "You're from my favorite storyteller's place." Oh, is Nicholas Sparks from North Carolina?
He is. I've never met him though. I mean, but he's from here. It's a
Yeah.
great place. We got the ocean, we got the mountains, we got a little bit of everything.
I shot a wedding this weekend just underneath Stephanie Meyer's home
Oh,
from the Twilight. So
ooh,
that's
ew.
I don't have Nicholas Sparks, but I got Stephanie. Is that her name? Stephanie Meyer's Twilight? I don't even know.
I think so. I think so. As long as you
Yeah.
didn't see anybody spark or anything, you should be okay.
Right. Well, Hannah, it's been a lot of fun. I super appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today and share some of these incredible photos. You are super talented, uber talented. And I love what you're doing out there in North Carolina and beyond. In fact, do you travel? Do you shoot weddings outside of North Carolina? I imagine you do.
I do. Most of them are in North Carolina, but I travel to South Carolina. I've done Arkansas, wherever anybody wants to pay me to shoot. I'm up for it.
I love it. I love it. Well, maybe you'll even get some business from Singapore because they're tuning in now too. From good morning and greetings from Singapore. Appreciate you being here, Al. Yeah. So, again, Hannah, you're awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. If you haven't done it already, go give her a follow at Southern Belle Pix, and be sure to follow up and see Hannah's work as she's posting it. As you can all see, she's amazing. Before we close out, I just want to tell you tomorrow I'm actually going to be talking with Andre Brown. We're going to do an episode with him, and then we have like every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday scheduled during the month of April. So I'm excited. There's gonna be some really cool, more extremely talented photographers like all of you guys out there. And so I'm excited to feature everybody. And guess what? This Thursday and Friday, I'm going to be out filming, doing some production stuff for possibly some new products coming out from MagMod. So that could be exciting, right? So that's exciting as well. So stay tuned, everybody, all our MagMod folks out there. Some really cool things in the pipeline for MagMod, and we're excited to share it with you all. With that, Hannah, thank you again. You're amazing. Love you.
Thanks, Trevor. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day. Bye.
All right, you guys all take care. Bye-bye now.